opening your Minneapolis weather report. It's Rusty tonight.
Minneapolis. At first sight, a typical North American city. But there is something rather unique about this town. It's skyways, covered pedestrian bridges that connect buildings and people. They make Minneapolis resilient against the extreme temperatures in summer and winter. For him, too, resilience is a big theme. Professor Dante Cicchetti, one of the world's leading experts in developmental psychology. His area of expertise? The effects of maltreatment on children and the factors that promote resilience, the psychological ability to recover from abuse. In over 3 decades of research, Cicchetti has always stuck to one principle: never lose hope.
To study the positive, not just the problems, really gives a sense of what development is all about. So resilience is an important part of development. And I think that also underscores, the plasticity of the human brain and of humans when, despite bad experiences, even very early on in their lives, you're not doomed. There's things that can be done, and even some that you are capable of doing on your own, sometimes even with minimal help from others.
Violence, physical and sexual abuse. Their long-term effects on mind and body change over the years, as does the individual's resilience, the ability to somehow deal with maltreatment.
To truly study resilience, you have to study it through the life cycle. It's not a static construct. It's not something that someone has. I'm resilient because I happen to have whatever the magical genetic makeup might be, or the magical psychological experiences. It's a process.
At the University of Minnesota's Institute of Child Development, Dante Cicchetti is looking into the mechanisms of this process. The Institute is at the forefront in research on all aspects of child and youth behavior. There's the lab school, which provides a safe learning environment for children. Here, they can prosper. Each child is different in their development. This becomes apparent time and again. Every child is a unique individual. An insight that may sound trivial, but it emphasizes that the effects of physical and emotional abuse can vary immensely, and sometimes, unfortunately, can last a lifetime.
Children who come here come from good supportive backgrounds. They're getting great support in this preschool, and they're developing nicely. But unfortunately, this is not the case with all children.
Experience that comes from practical work. Cicchetti directed the Mount Hope Family Center in Rochester, New York for 20 years, where treatment and research go hand in hand. Even though most of the children seen there came from low-income families, Cicchetti was able to dispel the myth that being poor was the main cause of child abuse.
If you have those right comparison groups of poor families, a lot of them are great parents and their children are doing very well. So the belief that poverty causes child maltreatment is clearly incorrect and very simplistic.
Dante Cicchetti is still in touch with Mount Hope, where many of his scientific findings are applied to practical therapy every day.
You see the children every day over the course of a year, and you see, wow, they're really getting better.
Combining assistance with research is the basis of his work, and this led to groundbreaking results in the scientific realm. One was a paper on how abuse can lead to changes in the processing of emotion. Facial expressions of women were shown to maltreated and non-maltreated preschoolers. How would they react to images of angry versus friendly faces?
What we interestingly found was the highest amplitude to any of the pictures was by maltreated kids watching angry stimuli. Their response to happy, their response to neutral were no different than the responses of non-maltreated kids. So they're really paying attention big time to anger because anger is so salient in their lives.
In this experiment, the children's brain activity was measured in an effort to scientifically examine whether victims of abuse react differently to anger than non-maltreated children. Even at only 15 months of age, brain processing of angry emotions differs significantly. In non-abused children, it's the central area of the brain that reacts only mildly to images of anger. Maltreated children showed strong activity in the frontal part of the brain, the area where emotions, including anger, are processed.
I would want to see all the children get helped, but I'd feel infinitely better if it were done in a theoretically informed, sophisticated way, and then we wouldn't have to go around having interventions guided by myth, but rather by good, solid science.
The Biological Sciences Center in Minneapolis is also contributing to this goal. This lab examines saliva samples taken from children at Mount Hope. The researchers look for changes in hormone levels and gene expression, which may have been brought about by child maltreatment. With such biomedical diagnostics, Dante Cicchetti is breaking new ground. Studying biological effects on a molecular level, combined with psychological examinations, is a big step towards recognizing the complexity of child abuse. The enormous potential of this method is illustrated by the following example.
We found that if maltreatment occurred in the first year of life, in infancy, that those maltreated kids had even fewer genes that expressed than those who were maltreated later. So mal always had fewer, regardless of timing of maltreatment. But if the timing was very early on, really bad.
Dante Cicchetti goes beyond linking the methodologies of medicine, biology, and psychology. His students receive an interdisciplinary education in developmental sciences so that future generations of researchers can investigate the effects of abuse from a broader base.
One of my biggest hopes is that now that we're beginning to see a burgeoning of research on the biological and psychological aspects of child maltreatment, that in the very near future we can start obtaining more federal support for conducting research interventions that help these children and families.
Outstanding results gained by decades of research, plus the idea of accumulating knowledge to give maltreated children more profound support. These are the tools for starting a new era of developmental research.